You guys are quite familiar with Dead Rising, an open-world zombie sandbox with a pretty jagged storyline and intense gameplay elements? If not, I will gladly explain as usual. Dead Rising was the first of its kind, a gentle knock on our doors as children that made us no longer afraid of the threats its predecessors brought us during childhood. The game delivered what it promised, a zombie game unlike any other with a riveting cast of multiple colorful characters all fit with personalities and backstories more vague than an LSD trip. I played the hell out of Dead Rising when it first came out. I have distinct memories of playing the first game at my cousin Cameron's house when I was growing up. I used to be scared when I played this game, probably just because you start off with 4 squares of health and 1 bite takes 1 whole square away, so right off the bat you are ill-equipped to deal with the massive number of zombies. However, you're given more than enough of an opportunity to defend yourself. The biggest theme in Dead Rising and why its charm has reached sky high since its release back then is the fact that everything and anything is a weapon. Quite literally. For its time, it was a bold take on the action zombie genre, and it offered a compelling map to be explored fit with an uncanny valley mall setting with stores and kiosks that resemble a lot of malls in America today. It goes without saying that the first game has had a massive positive impact on the community, and the memes that have spawned effortlessly are even better. Frank West, voiced by TJ Rodolo, an American stunt actor, became an icon in the zombie stories we continue to grow up telling. His character was hilarious, but when things were serious, he was good too. Frank was loved so much that they basically remade the sequel to Dead Rising as a DLC for Xbox 360 titled Off the Record, which is the exact same plot and story as the first Dead Rising sequel, but instead of Chuck Greene, it's just Frank West again. He made such an impact that they just remade the second game with Frank as the star instead of Chuck. But I'm getting off topic here. The sequel to the first game was something entirely different from its prior installment. Dead Rising 2 stars a new hero in our midst, known famously now as Chuck Greene, a professional motorcycle driver in an arena-like American television show known as Terror is Reality, or TIR for short.
Hey! You're on in 2 minutes, Mr. Greene.
My name's Chuck.
Yeah. Look, I need you to sign this release form before you go out there.
Her name is Katie.
With the outbreak officially a worldwide problem, basically, America has somehow found a way to profit off of those infected by placing them in a literal meat grinder whilst the audiences bet on their favorite racer. Whoever kills the most zombies wins. It's actually so fucking funny to me. They did such an excellent job of making this scene so overblown, so dramatic, so over the top for absolutely no reason. It's also a relative concept to think about. If zombies actually came and started eating people, I wouldn't put it past me for some sick fuck to start making money off of it in the same way with the media. Anyways, Chuck only does this work to support his daughter Katie, who is infected and must take a dose of Zombrex every day at 7 a.m. It honestly kind of underlies a little pity for Chuck. I mean, he's doing this job that he doesn't want to do, and it's pretty fucking morbid, but he's just doing it to support his daughter. He doesn't want her to die. The dialogue has been poked fun at in the first Dead Rising almost indefinitely, and I'm sure it will continue to be roasted as it ages like a fine wine. Literally, any fan of the series will recognize any of these quotes from the first game. It's not that hard to know where they come from. If that wine were bloody piss that you left in the hot sun for a few hours, that is. Dead Rising 2's dialogue, I thought at the time, was a huge improvement from its predecessor. Unfortunately, now that I play it as an adult, I can't help but feel like it's a bit cringe, at least in some parts.
Yeah, you take that! I'm tough! All the way to the end! But never forget, chump! I'm number 1!
Yeah, you're on fire.
Wow, that was horrible. I hope I never have to see that cutscene again.
She was so beautiful. And we had so much in common. We were gonna go on a date tonight. And she loved me for who I am. But now, look at her now! Now she's dead! Dead! Because of you!
What sick fuck came up with the idea of the psychopaths in this game? Because what is this guy's drive? What is this lunatic's drive? Also, I have to say this. It's got a lot of stupid, disgusting innuendos as well. I hate the twins, for example, because A, they're annoying as fuck and never shut up, and B, they act like lovers, but they're supposed to be sisters. What fucking sick freak wrote the character bios for this game? A Reddit user? But flaws aside, I enjoyed Dead Rising 2 for the sole reason that it was just so much fun to return to it after the dumpster fire that Dead Rising 4 left behind continues to burn away. The dialogue is funny, the characters are so silly and over the top, it's impossible to take them seriously. But it's a wild ride through and through. Think of it as its own little B-movie that you're interacting with and you're in control of. Can you even believe this was made by the same company that made Resident Evil 7? When Dead Rising 2 was announced, I had asked for it for Christmas. I was super excited about checking out the launch trailer they had made with Chuck interacting with all sorts of new tools and weapons we hadn't seen in the first game. It looked massive in comparison, and promised to fulfill our deepest desires for that zombie sandbox fix we loved the first time around. But I think it goes without saying, if you're a fan of the series like myself, you'll probably find it a little difficult to describe how you feel. Dead Rising 1 is unanimously praised as the greatest in the series. While Dead Rising 2 and 3 weren't necessarily awful games, I feel like nobody talked about them too much. It wasn't until I had gotten an Xbox One and played Dead Rising 3 that I had experienced it for the first time, and I gotta be honest, I was a pretty big fan of it. The fourth game is just an empty hollow laugh that's been covered 1,000 times over, but I'd rather go outside and lick the neighbor's dog clean than have to sit through another one of its awfully horrendous cutscenes. So we're not going to talk about Dead Rising 4 today. But, Jesus Christ, am I here to give you a fucking retrospective on the entire series? No, I only want to focus on the second game. Its absurd and uncomfortable drama has amplified itself to the highest octane of garbage written on this side of the universe. Listen to how we are introduced to some of these characters.
Hey, buddy. I heard you lost your wife in Vegas. I guess you suck at killing zombies, otherwise she'd still be around!
What?
Hello? Hello? Special delivery. Signature required. A signature is required for delivery!
Hey, buddy. I don't think there's anyone there.
Sir, maybe you can sign for this.
What?
Yeah, Chuck, you said it best. What the fuck? Gee, Chuck sure seems like a cool dad, the way he heroically and almost comedically throws himself away from the threat in every cutscene, but then always acts like a badass during the gameplay. The biggest difference you'll notice is exactly that, the gameplay. It's much different than the first time around, and I mean, yeah, much of the same mechanics from the first game are still present here, but it has a new feel to it overall.
I saw it on the TV. Saw you, buddy. Explain how that little trick works.
I love...
It was someone in my show outfit.
He's like a boomer.
Look.
Oh yeah, well the television told me otherwise. First of all, what I liked about Dead Rising 2 over the first game was its story. I'm not shitting you. Definitely not trying to undermine Dead Rising 1's story because that was okay. It was okay, it was pretty cool. But I feel like Dead Rising 2's story was a little bit more on the nose in terms of relatability, having to do something that you don't want to support someone you love. It's a lot deeper, and I feel like it can connect with a lot more people that way. Plus, we all came to love and know Chuck for who he was, a hero. You obviously have some moments that drag, like whenever you have to give Katie a dose of fucking Zombrex. It sucks having to wait the grueling amount of time that you do. If you're impatient like me, you'll know how frustrating it feels to run circles around the entire bunker and explore it as if it were a museum while just waiting off that damn timer. Besides this, the game's story is actually pretty decent and offers a whole new wave of psychopaths for us to destroy. Not to mention the amount of fucking survivors you'll have to guide back to the safe room with you. It's pretty crazy how much bigger they went in terms of the psychotic energy in some people. I mean, this guy, another contender in Terror is Reality, blatantly picks on Chuck for the fact that his wife is dead. It's not even a humorous joke or an oh shit moment like it was intended to be. It just seemed like a 4-year-old picking on his classmate. Might I also mention it comes completely out of nowhere? Leon isn't the only psycho you'll have to face, however, as there are plenty of others that step up to the plate, such as Randall, the sick fucking pig man who dry humps chainsaws. Or how about Slappy. Everyone knows Slappy and how stupid and unfair his boss fight is. But I'm not complaining as much as it seems I am. These are just regressed memories from my youth. I had forgotten how much I genuinely enjoyed playing Dead Rising 2 until I started playing it again today. Fuck. Almost dead. Out of health. Wait, here's something. Drink this shit. No, no, no! Oh! Are you fucking kidding me? Is it perfect? No. I wouldn't even say it's better than the first, at least not by specific standards. The graphics are better, I guess, and the dialogue is so silly that I couldn't help but laugh at a lot of odd decisions throughout the unfolding of this story. But that's a compliment, I swear. During your time in Dead Rising, you will find yourself getting frustrated a few times. That's mostly due to the amount of zombies that the game fucking floods you with, but it's also because the zombies aren't the only threat inside the mall, because you also have looters. Looters are, what else? People who break into stores and scream at one another, repeating the same generic voice lines like, "Let's get the money! Someone get the money! The money's in the back!" How about you shut the fuck up? They can be a pain in the ass, and if one of them pulls out a spray paint bottle, just turn and run. Don't even bother, because they'll kidnap you and you will lose all of your things, clothes included. There's a lot about this game that I want to talk about in further detail, but firstly, before I can praise this timeless sandbox, I must first dig through it with my bare hands to pull the shit logs out and criticize the more annoying aspects of it, because let's be honest, Chuck doesn't move half as good as Frank did in the first game. My biggest complaint that I've had so far is the fact that there's just no definitive way to avoid the zombies. It seems like every 5 seconds I get stopped because Chuck either decides to stop moving on free will or a zombie will lunge at me from behind, giving me zero chance to react. I don't want the game to be too easy and remove majority of the zombies or something stupid like that. I just want Chuck to be able to move his stiff ass out of harm's way, but he often does the opposite. Keep in mind, Dead Rising 1 was also guilty of a few of these mistakes, so I'm not necessarily saying that it's bad, I just wish that it was removed altogether or improved upon from the first. Secondly, I hate the animation locks. If you swing in the wrong direction of a zombie or dodge right into a crowd or even so much as shoulder bump a fucking zombie, it's a shameless countdown to a QTE. It happens way too often, and sometimes my hits will go directly through the zombies. Oh, fuck, what the fuck was that shit? Let me look at that again. Was I just shooting so fast that I apparently missed that guy behind me? That doesn't even make sense. It's a fucking LMG. Third, Chuck runs way too slow. Thankfully, I unlocked the second speed upgrade pretty early on, but it only makes a slight difference. Chuck's running is more pathetic than watching a grown man chase after his loose dog. He's so slow it reminds me of the awful running from Vodka, that shitty first-person open-world stalker ripoff that didn't even have an open-world aspect to it. You remember that trash? Ugh. Anyways, I can't be too mad at the choices behind these faults. After all, this game is pretty fucking old. There's no doubt that the technology was, although improving, not as up to par as it is today. I'm sure everyone still agrees with me when I say Dead Rising 2 is a classic. Sure, it's more angering than being trapped in a room full of pissed off tree frogs, but it's just as silly and fun with its over-the-top dialogue and cutscenes to follow. Another thing I wanted to mention about this game were the psychopaths. Dead Rising 1 was famous for its long list of killer appearances, all menacingly terrifying in their own right. The cult from the first game was scary as fuck to me, and I remember thinking they were gonna break into my house and try some crazy shit in my sleep, I don't know. Well, as memorable as the psychopaths were in the first game, I guess you could say they're all memorable here, but memorable in an ironically silly way. It's kind of a bummer to some people that this game didn't take its storyline characters too seriously. Like the fact that, as of right now, Chuck is a wanted suspect according to all of Fortune City, and how does Rebecca Chang, the reporter who covered his story in the first place, react to meeting him for the first time? She acts almost intimate towards him in a sexual manner because, you know, wanted terrorist equals sexy, just makes sense to me.
I can show you where it is.
Well, that's a start at least. Aren't we gonna need your crew?
They ran off with all the equipment. I guess they just didn't want it bad enough.
God.
Better get used to that view, Chuck.
Cute.
I hope I don't have to do everything for you. Well, what are you waiting for?
Just admiring your ass.
Speaking of sexy, we also have the twin sisters who work for TK, the host of Terror is Reality. They make me indubitably uncomfortable every single frame they spend together because whoever wrote their characters decided to give them some sort of weird lesbian taboo fetish where they constantly touch each other or their victims in such weird fucking ways. Like, if you're planning on killing us, what is the goddamn point in these disgusting theatrics? Then you have psychopaths that are just so unrealistic and dumb, like Carl. Wanna know his big backstory? Wanna know what riveting dark shadows have caused this once innocent postman to turn bad? He defends his job no matter the weather or zombie condition. Yeah. That's his excuse to Chuck. So, this guy went crazy because his job ended as a fucking postman? Who the hell cares? I feel like he'd be happy to know he doesn't have to carry around other people's shit anymore. But no, like every other moron in this game, they found little inspiration behind their bosses this time around, at least in my opinion. I don't want to shit all over the boss battles for any particular reason. I mean, they're all relatively difficult and different, but they're not impossible. And now Carl, the fucking postman, who just screams in the middle of the mall and attacks Chuck for causing the outbreak despite literally telling him that he'd still love and perform his job with or without zombies around. And how about this? I'm glad Carl is either blind or bad. Either way, he was the easiest psycho I had faced so far. But he's just as forgettable as a lot of them. One boss fight that had me so fucking angry and annoyed was the fight with Randall, the fat fuck who wears a pig mask and dry humps this poor woman for fun. Like, seriously guys? Who wrote this? His cutscene is awful, and it makes you just want to kill his stupid ass and be done with it. That is, until you realize Randall somehow can run at the speed of fucking sound, swinging his comically large pink chainsaw in a circular motion. It's impossible to dodge. No, literally, I didn't have the dodge unlocked at this boss. He will even unfairly follow you to the ends of the earth if it means getting one more big cheap shot on you. One thing that Dead Rising psychopaths share in common is how broken and overpowered they are. As the games went further on down the line, I think people like me were starting to get sick of this ridiculous pattern with the bosses. The development team must have thought it was AAA though, considering how many pointless fucking bosses you have to face in all of the other games. Another big change brought to this game was the combo card system, where Chuck could level up and eventually unlock different weapon combinations to master for using against the zombie menace. Your arsenal ranges from all sorts of cool weaponry like flame gloves, a drill spear, 2 chainsaws that are duct taped to a fucking canoe paddle. You get my drift. There's no shyness in terms of creativity with the weapons. If you don't have the combo card unlocked yet, no worries. You can still get a scratch card for things you have built early on so you can remember the recipe. Another group of enemies I forgot to mention earlier are the mercenaries. These assholes work for TK, and unfortunately for Chuckles Greene, they showed up to work with bulletproof road safety vests and hard hats. I'm not kidding, even a headshot isn't enough to take them down because you have to keep shooting. And what's this bullshit, where I can't reload? I'm surrounded by assault rifles. You're telling me Chuck doesn't know how to empty a magazine? Also, check out this cutscene because it threw me off guard so much. I wasn't expecting it in the slightest. You could see the camera aim towards the ground right before this goon comes after Chuck, so I falsely assumed Chuck would grab the rifle and shoot the goon off of the bike. But no, Chuck grabs the stick that he had before and fucking javelin pierces the guy 16th century style. It's so hilariously awesome. I thought they were zooming in on the assault rifle. I thought he was gonna shoot the tires out or something. You can eventually unlock a minigame in the safe house where you can play poker with survivors that you've saved. Quick confession, I have never played poker in my life and I have no idea how the fuck it works. I know that sounds silly, but what's even sillier is the fact that I was doing really good despite not knowing what to do. Okay, fuck it. We're going all in. No way. I literally don't know what I'm doing. Okay, 2 people are already out. So now it's just me and this idiot, so I'm gonna raise by 5,000. Check! Okay. He checked my check. I'm gonna check his check to my check. Okay, oh, I won. How did I... What? Someone please explain to me in the comments how I'm winning. Because I don't know. It was then I discovered that we weren't playing any ordinary poker. Oh no. Once I saw Chuck take off his stinky outfit and flaunt off his whatever, I knew right away I was playing strip poker. But unfortunately, I got stripped naked, so I lost. I had to walk out of the room in shame. When you're done stripping off your clothes, you can proceed to fighting TK for the first time. I remember getting so frustrated at this fight multiple times because I was unable to listen to directions. What you're supposed to do here is wait for the winch light to turn green. You run up to the helicopter and quickly winch it down, then you have to pick stuff up and toss it at the airborne son of a bitch. Shooting it does nothing apparently. I was able to predict the pattern and beat him pretty easily on the first try. If it isn't obvious yet, I'm not going to talk about every boss in this game since they're all pretty much the same. The snipers, Seymour the security guard, these bosses don't really matter much besides to make you question the life choices revolving this mall. I mean, who the fuck is in charge of this shithole, hiring security guards like this guy who are just absolute goobers?
Not no more. Everybody else is
Who the fuck is hiring these fucking crazy people for this mall? With that, honestly, I feel like I've basically covered everything I wanted to about Dead Rising 2. I know I missed a few parts like the ending and the big plot twist that was revealed, the true ending and all that, but you guys be the judge. Let me know if you want me to touch more upon those, and I'll definitely offer my thoughts. As I stated, Dead Rising 2 will always be a classic to me for reasons that without a doubt can't be measured by today's standards. But without the nostalgia, the game still holds up on its own. Killing zombies is fun no matter what way you choose to do it, but I never felt more honored to play as the man that could not only come so close to being as great as the first protagonist, but demonstrating a cliche action hero attitude with zero skills to back it up is immensely funny, and the dialogue is charming to me. Sure, it's obviously going to irritate you at moments that make you want to chew your fingernails off until they bleed, but you'll get the hang of things with lots of practice and punishment. I recommend saving as many survivors as you can right off the bat, as these can be XP farms for you. What else can I say, guys? Dead Rising 2 was a great game, and I'm really excited to talk further upon the series as a whole. Next up, I want to try and do a somewhat solidified review of Dead Rising 3, but that'll take some time. It's a pretty long game from what I remember. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Now get all dressed up like Chuckles Greene and go fuck up some zombies in the casinos. Just try staying away from that wedding place. There's some fat fuck with a pink chainsaw, that's all. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to our channel, and thanks for checking out this video. Leave a like, comment, and since we're on the subject, enjoy yourself. Thanks for watching the content, folks.